Hello, students, and welcome to episode 9 of Coach Stroud's What to Read While Quarantined. It's good to see you guys. To my students out there, I love you and miss you like crazy. And I hope to get back to teaching you face to face soon, but I don't know. I feel like talking to you through video, emailing you, messaging you. I'm trying my best to keep in best contacts with you guys. Hopefully, y'all are enjoying the videos. Thank you to those who have commented. Thank you to those who have sent me personal messages, private messages. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to me. You guys are amazing. Today, I want to take a moment and talk to you about an author named Dan Wells. Now, Dan Wells is a pretty cool guy. He's been writing for a few years now. He runs some writing workshops, runs a podcast. But I want to tell you a little bit of story about how I came across or came to know about Dan Wells. I don't know him personally. I was at Barnes and Noble one night, and I was looking around. And I was, just trying to eyeball some books, see if something jumped out and caught my attention. We always say don't judge a book by its cover, but they never say don't judge a title by its title. So what I mean by that is this one book that Dan Wells wrote jumped out of nowhere at me, and it was literally because of its title. And so I picked it up and I read the back, and it amazed me. It really got me thinking, and so I bought the book immediately. And sure enough, after reading it, I found that there was 2 more books that went along, and there was a series going. I picked those up immediately, read those, and I have fallen in love. Since then, there's been other books that have come out that I've read, but I want to talk about the first 2, the first main book, and then reference the other 2. So, what is this title that jumped out at me? What is this title that got my attention? Well, it is Dan Wells' I Am Not a Serial Killer. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, there is no way that this is a young adult title, and it is. It is a young adult book. Dan Wells primarily writes young adult fiction. He's got some adult books out there, and of course, adults can enjoy this book too. But it centers around a teenager named John Wayne Cleaver. So I want to read the back of this book to you, and so see if you have the same kind of effect that I had when I first read it. So it says, "Fear the darkness within. John Wayne Cleaver is dangerous, and he knows it. He spent his life doing his best not to live up to his potential. He's obsessed with serial killers, but really doesn't want to become one. So, for his own sake and for the safety of those around him, he lives by rigid rules he's written for himself, practicing normal life as if it were a private religion that could save him from damnation. Dead bodies are normal to John. He likes them, actually. They don't demand or expect the empathy he's unable to offer. Perhaps that's what gives him the objectivity to recognize that there's something different about the body the police have just found behind the wash and dry laundromat, and to appreciate what that difference means. Now, for the first time, John has to confront a danger outside himself, a threat he can't control, a menace to everything and everyone he would love, if only he could. Dan Wells' debut novel is the first volume of a trilogy that will keep you awake and then haunt your dreams. That is, I Am Not a Serial Killer. Okay, so John Wayne Cleaver, it's not lost upon him that he already has 2 of the first names of prominent, or the first names, John and Wayne, of a very prominent serial killer out there. So basically, John's just a different kid. He's not like every other kid. He doesn't find things funny. He can't feel empathy. And he knows that these things that he finds connecting to him are not necessarily normal. See, John has grown up with his mom operating a mortuary underneath his house. So it's like the mortuary business is downstairs, the house is upstairs. So he goes down and he helps her, run the morgue every now and then. And it's these tendencies, these feelings that he gets while doing that stuff that kind of alarms him a little bit. So he has these strict rules that he follows to keep him from ever becoming a serial killer. But then, so the problem occurs is, what if an actual serial killer shows up in his town? Who's going to be the one that can actually hunt him down? Who's going to be the one that knows the traits, that knows the feelings, but doesn't live by the same rules that John does? Well, John is probably that perfect person to hunt this serial killer down. And I'm going to be honest with you, when I first read this book, I expected one thing, and then something totally opposite happened, and it blew my mind. It was a really awesome book. Sequels to it, the first sequel was entitled Mr. Monster, and it continues the John story very well. In fact, if anything, Mr. Monster is actually my favorite book out of the original trilogy. And then the last one of the original trilogy is I Don't Want to Kill You. So it can, all three of these books here basically comprises John's high school time. And then the next set of books that come after is when he's, left the town, left his family and stuff like that. All three of these books are amazing. And I don't want to get into the plot of the other two because I don't want to spoil anything from the first one. But just know that in this case, they say sequels are very rarely better than the originals. This book, I would say, is a 4.5 out of 5. Mr. Monster is definitely a 5 out of 5. And then it does drop back down a little bit, but again, 4.5 out of 5. This is one of the best young adult series I've ever read. Interesting enough, though, with what's going on in the world in quarantine, Dan Wells also wrote another series of books called The Partial Sequence. And I just got done reading all three of those. It was Partials, Ruins, and... I'm blanking on the middle book, but there's very good reads, and it's about a girl who's trying to. There's been an outbreak of a disease in humanity, and it's killed off 99% of humans, and it's this girl. She's trying to find the cure for it. And it's really, really interesting. And I literally finished the last Partials sequence book right before our school closed down and said we were going into quarantine, it was a little eerie how that happened. But to wrap things up, Dan Wells, phenomenal author. Love what he has. Love what he has done. Love the John Wayne Cleaver series. It has been great. Highly recommend the I Am Not a Serial Killer. And again, remember, you're not supposed to judge books by the cover, but they didn't say anything about the titles. I know, I'm lame. All right, guys. Again, love you to death. Miss you all a ton. Hit me up, private message me, whatever it is you need to do. I'm looking for any extra requests that people might have. Looking for any book information people want to share with me. I would love to review a book that you tell me about. I'm currently right now reading, in case you're wondering, Kill River 2 by Cameron Rubik. It's been on my TBR list for a while now, and I figured I really need to get into it. Yesterday alone, did 94 pages. It's brilliant. All right, guys. Hope you're doing well. Talk to you later. Love you guys. Bye.